ASU they beat down Oklahoma State in Stillwater, have 6 wins on the year, are going bowling, and it's a lot more important than you might realize.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. A shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications wherever you're getting your shows. Stay in touch by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36 and the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Ladies and gentlemen, 6-2. How does it feel? 6-2. Bowling. ASU, has matched their total wins from the last 2 years combined. You had consecutive 3-9 win seasons, or 3-9 seasons, 3-win seasons is what I meant to say. Just kind of combined both. Consecutive 3-win seasons. You've matched that total this year. And guess what? Still 4 more games. Are you going 10-2? Probably not. There's still K-State and there's still BYU, which right now I still think are losses. Time will tell. We'll see. Maybe they can sway my opinion between now and then. I'll tell you K-State looks beatable, but I will also tell you it's in Manhattan. It's in November. I've said all year that is a tough place to play, and I don't like our chances. I still stand firm. Unless K-State just wets the bed for a second straight week, I don't see it happening. With that being said, this is a good win. This is a really good win for Arizona State. And I've said that a lot this year. And you want to know why I've said that a lot this year? Is because Arizona State is coming off consecutive 3-win seasons. The expectations have never been lower for this program. We were picked to finish last in the media poll by my peers. By my peers that voted on that poll. They picked us last. And yet here we are. 6 wins. 6 wins. Vegas over under was 4.5. They're cruising past that. They have, in my opinion, and again, I'm not counting these 2 as wins. I am counting one of them as a win. UCF this upcoming weekend. You should beat them. I feel good about that. And then U of A at the end of the year, yeah, you're going to smoke them, dude. They are a bad football team. I have a question, and I'm taking my bias off for a second, and I'm seriously asking, is U of A the worst football team in the Big 12? Because Houston's rolling right now, and I don't know who might be worse. Anyways, this is a good win for ASU. There's a few reasons why. We just talked about some of them. Now, I know I'm going to get some pushback as well. Richie, Oklahoma State is winless in the Big 12. They are 3-6 on the year, and they're not a good football team, and this, that, and the other. To which I would reply, yeah, they have wasted their talent. 20 of 22 starters returned for Oklahoma State, including their quarterback, including their top 3 receivers, including Ollie Gordon on offense. They returned a lot of guys on defense. Unfortunately, they lost Colin Oliver very early in the year. But I'll tell you right now, Colin Oliver was not going to make a difference in that game, the way that Cam Scadaboo was running the ball and the way that Sam Levitt was playing. Oh, first of all, we got a sidetrack there. Sam Levitt, what a difference he makes when he's on the football field. Over 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 to Cam Scadaboo, who, of course, just had another big week. Jordan Tyson caught the other one. The quarterback one, to wide receiver one duo looks phenomenal between Levitt to Tyson. They are just clicking. And a completely different team with Sam Levitt under center. I stand by this. Jeff Sims was not the reason you lost that game against Cincinnati. He didn't play well, but he could have played a lot worse. Excuse me, allergies. He was fine. If Sam Levitt plays that game, based off of what we saw this past weekend and based on the resume that we've seen the year, I'm curious if you do beat Cincinnati now, because if you make those 2 field goals, it's a 1-point game. Sam Levitt is probably able to get you into the end zone on at least one of those drives. But you had him this past weekend against Oklahoma State. You throttle the Cowboys. It was their homecoming, by the way. The vibes were high. There was I think it ended up being a 2.5-hour delay for rain and thunder and all that good stuff. A lot of OK State fans left, which I don't blame them. Especially ASU did the same thing against Southern Utah. A ton of fans left during that. I think it was a 3-hour delay from the Haboob that came in. It happens, and you can't blame people for wanting to leave in crappy weather conditions and on homecoming where they're celebrating, they're having a great time. The drinks are flowing, the good times are going through. Like, there's stuff to do. I wouldn't blame ASU fans for doing it. It just happens. They still had like 50,000 people in the stands, or that was an estimate that I saw. That's cool. It's cool that you have that kind of loyalty there. ASU just sucked everything out of the stadium. The way that they dominated Oklahoma State. They did whatever they wanted to do. Again, Sam Levitt was over 300 passing yards. Cam Scadaboo, look, I'm not saying he should win the Doak Walker Award. I'm not saying he should win the Heisman Trophy. What I am saying is the national media needs to start paying attention to him. And he's catching their eye. With every passing week, it's more and more difficult to not look at number 4 for ASU. Over 100 rushing yards, over 100 receiving yards. I'm not sure if the final drive did it for Oklahoma State, but pretty much the whole game, Scadaboo had more scrimmage yards by himself than Oklahoma State had as a team on offense. It was incredible. 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 50-yarder, which that was just in the flat, and that's just flat out, I am going to outrun you, and there's nothing that you're going to do about it. I'm not the fastest guy on the field, but you're not tackling me. And he scampers into the end zone. 36-yard touchdown pass. It looked like a screen. It might not have been a screen, but he gets great blocking in front of him. And again, just tiptoes down the sideline, goes into the end zone. He also had a rushing touchdown that he just Superman himself over the top at the 1-yard line. 3 touchdowns, almost 300 total yards. It was an insane performance. It was a performance all time for the Sun Devils. By the way, the first Sun Devil running back to accomplish 100 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards since 2015. It might have been 2014. I think it was 2014. Now that I think about it, Demario Richard did it against New Mexico. That's pretty good company. Richard is one of the best running backs in program history. Man, what a great win. Defense looked good too. Javen Robinson, hats off to you, my friend. Congratulations on your first interception. Quite frankly, I thought Javen just had a good game. I thought Javen had a really good game. And Keith Abney continues to play well. I heard the announcers were mentioning that ASU fans were crowning him as like the president of the school. And like, I'm totally here for it, especially because I'm developing such a love and passion for the way that Keith Abney plays football. I'm glad I'm not alone because I wasn't sure. I may not have started the Keith Abney fan club, unfortunately, but that's okay because if the rest of you are just rooting on Abney the way that I am, like I am all about it. Props to the fan base for just promoting the heck out of Keith Abney, who also had a good game. Keyshawn Elliott was banged up. Guess what? Caleb McCullough, who should be on your radar after that performance he had against Utah, stepped up. He had 7 tackles on the game. He was the leader at linebacker when Keyshawn Elliott was banged up. Defensive line, they played pretty good. Did they get a sack? No. Did they control the trenches? 99% of the game they did, except the last drive when they were pulling guys. They controlled that game. CJ Fight, Jacob Rich-Kanagaika, Jeff Clark, and Zach Swanson dominated the interior. Prince Dorbaugh and Clayton Smith sent the edge. It was nothing we haven't seen this year, but it's really impressive when you do it against the reigning Doak Walker winner in Ollie Gordon. Has he had a great year? No, it's been a down year. He's still one of the most talented running backs in the country. That didn't just disappear. We've seen it this year. That offense is just not doing well. If Ollie Gordon returns next year, he's going to be just fine. This is a good one. This is a really good one. This was a more important win than you realize. We're going to talk about why that is coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let me talk to you about one of our sponsors today, 5 Hour Energy. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing second overtime win, of course, which is why they've created the Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot is made just for super fans like us. The fans who are first in the parking lot and the last to leave, we see you. You know what else gives you, the fan, and your Arizona State Sun Devils fan fuel this week? Probably that moment when Cam Scannaboo took a 4th and 1 to a 50-yard receiving touchdown, not to mention the other touchdowns that he had as well. 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, although we hope it's the Sun Devils, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, the game day that you have, your list that you have, it's a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help keep you fueled for the season. I tell you what, this was a pretty good week if you needed that fan fuel shot. Go ahead and grab it right now. 5hourenergy.com. That's a number 5hourenergy.com. It's shipped nationwide, by the way. Go ahead and get it for yourself now. Let me also talk to you about our friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action and, of course, the college football action and college basketball action with America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $5. Just take $5. Turn it into $150 in bonus bets with a win. That can be anything. You can take a money line. You can take a spread. You can do a player prop. You place the $5 bet. You win $150 of bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app also gives you everything you need to place the live bets in the NFL. It's all in one place. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out live stats, view a live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page that you're placing your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your $5 bet. That's right, when you win, because I know that you got it in the lock. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Wherever you're getting your podcasts, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you will get an update whenever we post new content. Let's go ahead and get back into our conversation now about why this is a more important win than you realize. First of all, you are bowl eligible, which is a pretty big deal for a team that has not been to a bowl game in 3 seasons, 22, 23. And if you include this year, I guess it's 3 seasons. Last time they went bowling was 2021. And that was an eternity ago when you consider everything that has happened to the program since then. It's been pretty brutal. This is huge to go bowling. The other reason it's huge, and perhaps the biggest reason why this is such a big deal, despite the wet blankets that I found in my comment section that were telling me, oh, it's not that big a deal. It is. It is a big deal. And here's why. This is Kenny Dillingham's second year at the program. In less than 24 months, in less than 2 years, 22 months is what it took to take a consecutive 3-win team that was in one of the worst places you could be in all of college football, a spot that we have described as perhaps the worst part, the worst possible era. No, I wouldn't call it an era, but it was bad. There's never been anything like it in Arizona State football history. Your future, calling it bleak would be an understatement. You were in the crapper, and it didn't seem like you had a way out anytime soon. We certainly were not expecting this kind of success this quickly. I said 7-5 was my win record at the start of the year. There was bias. Of course there's bias. I want to see my ASU Sun Devils win. Did I see the potential? Yeah, I did. I didn't see this potential. I'm not going to tell you I did. I'm not going to pretend that I did. ASU could very easily be 8-4 this year. They could be 9-3 this year if they get an upset win. They could be 10-2. It's not happening, but they could be. This is unprecedented. No one saw this coming. If you say you saw this coming, props to you. You might be the biggest fan ever, or maybe the most delusional. And I love you either way. What a way to celebrate year 2 of Kenny Dillingham. Kenny Dillingham, yeah, he's the answer for Arizona State. Kenny Dillingham is the man who saved ASU football. And that's not an exaggeration. It truly is not. Kenny Dillingham saved ASU football. This is a team that should be rebuilding for more than 1 year. You would think this is probably a 3-year project just to get ASU back to the middle of the pack. That's usually what it takes. We talk about you got a new college head coach, how long you want to give them. Typically, you want to give them 3 years. That's when most of the previous regime's players are gone, and that's when your recruited classes are a firm portion of the team, if not the entirety of the team. 3 years is what you give them. It took Kenny Dillingham less than 2 years. And this team, completely different. Rebuilt it through the transfer portal. Pretty darn good recruiting classes. His first recruiting class, he pulled in Jaden Rashada. Did he stay? No, but that was a really high 4-star recruit. One of the top 15 highest recruits ASU has ever landed since they started doing the 5 stars, 4 stars, and all that from 24/7. Next year, he goes out and he gets 2 4 stars. He pulls in Jason Brown, running back from Washington. He pulls in Jaden Fortier, tight end from Oregon. Both of them probably redshirting this year. That's 4 more years of eligibility for them to be able to play for ASU. Next year's class, we've got, do we have 2 4 stars? I'm pretty sure we do, because at one point we were supposed to have 3. We do, yes. Tight end AJ Aya and quarterback, receiver, athlete Cameron Dyer. You had Adrian Wilson. He did decommit. That's okay. I have a feeling ASU's probably not done with their recruiting class, especially with the success that they are currently having right now. He's recruiting at a high level. It's only going to get better, by the way. ASU keeps winning football games. Kids are going to be attracted to this program. By the way, if you decommitted from ASU, I'm really curious. How do you feel about it? This is not, believe it or not, this is not even to Adrian Wilson. This is to a lot of other players who were committed to ASU, decommitted to ASU, went to other places. There's some interesting feelings that I'm curious if they have. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're fine. They appreciate where they are. Maybe ASU just wasn't the right fit for them. Maybe they look back and they go, damn, maybe I should have stayed. Look at what they're building. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm totally curious. It's not a big deal if you're totally fine with it. It's not a big deal if you're really salty. I'm just curious. The ASU, man, they're not just on the way up. They are ascending at a rapid rate. If everything goes right this offseason, if you keep the core of your roster, you have an incoming recruiting class that looks good, and you kill it in the transfer portal, it's not crazy to say you could compete in the Big 12 next year. I still don't know if I'm ready It really depends how they kill the transfer portal. And more importantly, it depends who stays and who goes during the offseason with that transfer portal. You're also going to lose some players. You could lose, you will lose Cam Scannaboo unless he's got a hidden year of eligibility. I have a feeling he's declaring for the draft no matter what. Prince Dorma is out of eligibility. Clayton Smith could declare. I have a feeling he's going to return. You're going to lose Shamari Simmons. You could lose Xavier Alford. Again, I think he's going to end up returning. You lose guys along the offensive line. You lose some receivers. This is going to be a different team next year. But if you return Sam Levitt, if you return Jordan Tyson, you return the running backs that you have in that backfield, you return your corners, Keith Abney and Javen Robinson, LT Welsh should be able to return. You're still going to have your safeties. You're going to have your linebackers. You're going to have your defensive line. If you return the vast majority of this current team, find a way to replace the stars that you are going to lose, have your incoming recruiting class, and kill the transfer portal, which ASU has killed the transfer portal 2 straight years under Kenny Dillingham, completely rebuilt this team. You could compete for the Big 12 next year. We'll wait and see. I am not ready to say that just yet, but the biased fan in me could very well say that before the end of the year. And I may not be wrong. Bottom line, this 6th win for ASU, massive win for ASU. Does not matter what you think. Doesn't matter if you don't think it's a big deal. Doesn't matter if you're like, oh, that's cool, they're going bowling. No. This is huge. This is such a massive milestone to reach in the Kenny Dillingham era in such a quick amount of time. And you're only going to get better. ASU, the sleeping giant. Did Kenny Dillingham wake it up? I don't know. But I'm really excited to see what the future holds. By the way, I would be stunned if Kenny Dillingham ever left ASU, for what it's worth. It's his dream job, as he has said. Valley kid, he loves the program. He is an alum. He grew up in the Valley. Alabama opens, if Ohio State opens, they'll call. But I truly don't know if Kenny's leaving. I'm so positive that he will stay. Neither here nor there. That is a conversation for another time. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you feel about being 6-2? How do you feel about bowling? And how do you feel about the future, more importantly, of Arizona State Sun Devils football? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at Richie Bradshaw36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you get your shows, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you will get an update whenever we post new content. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. By the way, ASU basketball tips off this week. We have a lot of coverage for you because we still got football season. We got basketball season coming up. It's going to be a busy season for the Sun Devils. Now's never been a better time to hit that follow button and make sure you turn on notifications so you get an update when you have bonus episodes like this. I'll see you guys tomorrow because we got to go through good and bad, takeaways, and hand out some game balls from the win over Oklahoma State for the football team. I will see you then, and until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.